Hi, I'm Tom Henry.
And I'm Jack Henry, and the two of us started the Pole Nest Box project for barn owls here at the Wilds in 2015. We started with barn owls because we actually started with it while working with the Division of Wildlife, and it's been a carryover since we've retired. It's the species that both Tom and I have enjoyed the most working with, and the opportunity was there to continue to work with it. First up in his area of the state in the Amish communities where they had a lot of boxes and a lot of owls being produced, and that was becoming a key core production area in the state of Ohio. Coming down here has been since we've retired, and it increased the opportunity to add a site that we recognize as being a quality foraging food source for possibly barn owls as well as other raptors. And that's why we wanted to come down here to see if we could do that by putting these pole boxes up and see if we could build a population that would sustain itself and in producing young, which distribute readily after they fledge, be a source population for barn owls of Ohio, especially considering that we do have harsh winters, weather events, and with land use changes, habitat going down, that the species is threatened. We'd like to maintain it there and not let it go back to endangered. Ideally, it'd be great if it could go the other direction.
So these owls are not only known for their unique features, so they've got white plumage, they've got a ring around their face, so it's very distinct. They're also very silent flyers, and they have a terrifying screech, but they're also very good at adapting to the human environments and changes that we make. So hence their name, the barn owl. You can often find them in barns, nesting and roosting in the spring and summer. The Wilds is a prime area for barn owls and for conservation of this species because of the habitats that we have. So our grasslands, our pastures, which are grazed by various species, they're all beneficial to barn owls because they provide the species that they need for food, mainly meadow voles, but other small mammals. And so the Wilds is also considered an important bird area by Audubon, which recognizes that this is a habitat and area that needs to be conserved due to the fact that we have this great habitat for these bird species. The Nest Box program was created to provide nesting cavities for barn owls. Trees were gone, natural nest cavities were gone, and actually barns, which they used a lot for nesting, those started to be torn down. And so we needed to provide a place for them to nest, and that's where the boxes come into play. And these boxes allow a male and a female to come together and raise chicks. Working with Jack and Tom is great. They are quite the pair, being twins. They just bounce off of each other. They are always open to having my staff out, any staff at the Wilds out with them. If you want to hunker down in a tent for hours in the dark while they're doing that night capture, you can. Often we'll take our apprentices and students out with them when they're banding during the day, so they can actually see a barn owl up close. They can see what the banding process is like. Provides a very unique opportunity to get into hands-on conservation and see what it really looks like on the ground.
A pole nest box, which is the majority of boxes we have at the Wilds, I think out of 11 boxes, 10 of them are on poles, compared to a barn nest box, which we have one at the Wilds. Part of the reason that exists is because this land was originally strip mine land under coal company ownership. And a lot of the barns have been removed that were quality nesting sites, potential nest sites for barn owls, along with a lot of the large trees that were an active cavity site for barn owls. So we're looking at grasslands without nesting habitat. And nesting habitat are cavities, poles, boxes on poles, or a box in a barn. So we've put these boxes up on 18-foot pole, 4x6 pole. Then that makes it maybe a little more difficult to work, but it is effectively attractive to barn owls.
My initial thoughts are that they weren't going to be very successful because our first year in 2015 we had no nests, but then they took off with barn owls choosing to nest in our pole boxes and in the hay barn as well. The hay barn's been our most productive box since 2016 on, and since then to current, which includes this year, we have 43 individual adults that we've been able to capture, and we've had 149 young that we've banded. Yeah, in monitoring the box, we have to visit the boxes first in the spring to determine how many actual boxes have nesting owls. We do that usually in May and June,
And we have a certain amount of equipment that we carry. We carry a special ladder that we can hook up onto the box, below the box, so it doesn't move away from us. We also have a piece of equipment called a blocker, which is on a long extendable pole, goes about 20-some feet high. And we have to block the entrance to the box where the owl goes in before we actually go up and look in the box. And that's to keep any adult females that might be on a real early nest laying eggs or chicks in the box and not spook those birds out. When we find an active nest, we have to visit that nest when the chicks are primarily in good banding age. We like to band them between 3 and 4 weeks of age. And once we find an active nest and the chicks are all big enough to band, and the female hopefully is in the box, we can retrieve those birds from the box, usually in a pillowcase, bring them down and put a band on their leg, which it's a small size band, either a 6 or 7 size band. It's a metal aluminum lock-on band. And that each band has its own unique numbers that'll identify that bird throughout its life.
It takes a lot of patience at nighttime. One is setting up the equipment because it takes a couple hours to do that. And we usually capture the male. Hopefully we've already caught the female when she's been in the box during the daytime. So we show up in the late afternoon and we put in our electronic equipment into the box, which we use to identify when an owl comes to the box, when it enters the box, and when the door comes down so we capture it. We'll go and put a big screen inside there to keep the young back in the back part of the box so that they're not entering forward and getting on our equipment. We then put a door in the inside of the box, which is a cloth door that's framed that goes over the opening, and that is raised up and held by a solenoid. A pegboard that has micro switches on it on the bottom of the box just inside the entrance door of that the owls use to come into the box and towards the young. Then we put an electric eye that goes right across the opening so that if an owl comes and sits in the opening, we know that one's there. And we get all that because we connect it electronically through a long cable to where we're hiding. It's usually in a blind if we're at a pole box. And that's connected to a monitor that we've got that has different light sources on it, and we know by the light source what we're looking at. If we hit a blue light, we know we've got an owl that's at the opening. If we get a red light, then an owl has come in and landed on the pad. When it does that and we've got the capture equipment set to capture the owl, that owl will trip the door and the door will fall. So the owl actually catches itself. And then we'll get a green light when the door comes down. So it basically says, okay, time to go, get your owl. And then see whether or not we've got the right owl, whether it's banded or not, or if we have to work it. And if it's the wrong owl, let's say it's a female we've already got, we'll let her go very quickly, reset everything up, go back into our blind as quickly as we can, because we might get a male coming within another 20 minutes, could be 10 minutes, or he could be out there screaming at us, which we'll know right off the bat. And that's how we capture the owl.
So here at the Wells, we're proud to be a part of the barn owl program. And even though they're a threatened species, the work is still not done. So while there has been a downlisting, there's still more work that we can do to completely remove those protections from the species, because that's ultimately what we want. We want these species to thrive all on their own and not need human interactions. So here we're very proud to be a part of this program, be able to have all of these barn owl boxes and also the learning experience that it provides working with these researchers.